Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast, is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show. Welcome back to the show, kids. You are checking out the Season 2 rundown of Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. Tom Clark here with you, as always, joined by the one and only Jay Luft and Joe Higgens. There's their names if you're watching on video. Hi. So it's been a long, strange trip it's been, gentlemen. We have come through the full Season 1 and now the full Season 2 of of Ted Lasso here on this pod that we call Two Nations Under Ted. Been a lot of fun, and hopefully you guys who are watching and listening have enjoyed the ride also. As we come to the end of Season 2, guys, and Joe, we'll start with you this time. As you come to the end of Season 2, where are we in our headspace? Are we anxious for Season 3? Are we dreading it because of the Dark Nate? I mean, where are we mentally going into Season 3 from Season 2?
I mean, Season 2 has a lot in it. This is the main story season of Ted Lasso, where the characters that we've grown to know and love in the first season get their story arcs like properly fleshed out. So we get Ted's breakup of his marriage and his subsequent dealing with the fallout of that. We get Rebecca and her, ongoing struggles with Rupert, and also being still afraid of being on her own, but not knowing how to deal with that. We get Keely and Roy's growing together and then starting to grow apart. Roy becoming a more rounded human being. Jamie becoming an actual human boy. And also, like you said, the inevitable heel turn of Nate Shelley. And it also has some tremendous episodes in there as well. Some of my favorite episodes are in there. But this is where everything is set up for the last season. Like the first season it's a great 3-act structure of here's your characters, here's the plot, here's how it's resolved. And Season 2 has all of those things in it. It has where we're gonna finish these characters off, sort of thing. It fleshes out a lot of characters. We get more Colin this season.
Yeah.
We get a whole Sam narrative, and these were just sort of background characters in the first season, but they're more fleshed out, they're more rounded, they're given their own sense of urgency and storylines, and it makes for I love the first season, but this season is probably my favorite season because everything it's not more world building, but it's fleshing out the world that they've established in the first season.
So, Jay, to Joe's point, Season 2, much different than Season 1. The dynamics are different. The primary antagonist is different, especially toward the end. For me, Jay, Season 2 is probably my favorite as well, if for no other reason that we got to celebrate Christmas during this Season 2 with Carol of the Bells, and actually in real time, which is cool. Yeah. So where do you hold Season 2, Jay, in terms of comparing it to Season 1? Which one's your favorite?
I definitely think Season 2 is the best season. It's one of those things, like with TV shows, it's really kind of hard to do sometimes, where obviously Season 1, it's establishing these people and why we should care about these people. And then Season 2, it's showing now we care about them, the kind of struggles they're going to go through and the problems they're going to have to kind of face. And because like Ted Lasso does such a good job in Season 1 of making us care about these people, when it does come to Season 2, like some of the stuff that happens to him, we literally the fact that we were all so angry about Nate by the end of Season 2 shows how good a job they've done in creating that kind of bond between viewer and characters. And I think 2's fantastic in the sense that it really moves the story along even down to like Ted's Dark Forest speech, where he literally describes the structure of the series in like a little motivational speech he does.
It's true.
It's just brilliant, like the way it like kind of like sets up. And I remember when I watched this, I think we were about maybe 4 or 5 months away from season 3 coming out when I first watched it. And the idea of having to wait that long to find out what happened after that cliffhanger, it shows how they like mission accomplished and making you care about these people.
Yeah, they hooked you.
It's the weird thing, because like at the start of this season, Jamie is like, what is it? He's in Lust Conquers All. Like,
yeah.
Like, and he comes back and everyone hates him. And by the end of it, he's a key player. Like he's a linchpin of the team, and they all get on. And that happens within the space of one season. At the end of the first season, like everyone hates him. It's so good.
They're very clever in the first season, like before he leaves the club, like just sprinkling in enough to show that he's a redeemable person.
Yeah,
and that he's got redeemable qualities. So then when he does have his fall from grace, and he basically more or less like begs Ted to let him like bring him back, it shows it shows like that he's willing to kind of like fall in line with like Ted's kind of like philosophy and sort of become a better person while becoming a better footballer. And by the end of the entire series, Jamie's one of my favorite characters. Full stop. I think he's brilliant. But this season absolutely cements Jamie as like one of the best characters for me, for sure.
Shout out to Phil Dunster, the great Jamie Tart. So, well, you know, to the point of what you guys just said, he's redeemable. The character is redeemable, right? Like, yeah, for me, I don't know about for anybody else. For me, it'd be tough to watch a show with 4 Ruperts. Like, okay, this is real. Not everyone in real life is a good person. Yeah, but how many people have you known in your lifetime that was kind of a douche or whatever? But then later on, you run into him again. Oh man, he's eased up. He's mellowed out. I talk to this guy now. Like normal people go through, like you said, Joe, an evolution. Like they're not the same person now. They're not static characters. They evolve. They move forward. They get better. Sometimes they get worse. But I love that this show makes, whether they know it or not, whether this was, you know, predetermined or not, who knows? But like, it's a true shot of real people. Like, and even though we know they're not real, but like true human beings, some are redeemable, some are not. Some are got great sense of humor, some are flat. You know, to me, it's like a microcosm of real life here.
I think that's what Ted does very well. The character and the show is that everyone is redeemable if they want to be saved.
Yeah.
Like there are several points where Rupert could do the honourable thing, could do the nice thing, but he cannot help himself because he's beyond redemption. Like, and you do need like a protagonist. An antagonist. Sorry, you do need that person, but everyone else is redeemable. Like, and through either Ted's embetterment of them or whatever, embiggenment, like they become better people. Even the people that, wait, again, we find out like the reason why Jamie is the way that he is because of his dad and that, and like, and Ted sees that, and you know, but everyone in this show, even the people that, like I said, we hated at the start of it or at the end of season 2, like everyone can be saved if they want to be saved.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Jay, can you imagine a scenario in which they went down the route with Rupert and then we began to, you know, be let in on details of what made him this way? What's that connected to? Is that a childhood thing? Is that a father? Is that a mother? Is that a past relationship? Like, that's a lot to unpack. That would have been 4 seasons of the show, maybe. I don't know.
I think the thing with Rupert is every show needs, especially like this, every show needs someone that's like is the antithesis of what like the antagonist, the protagonist is going for. So Ted's trying to see good in people, and Rupert goes from being just like a bastard to being like a mustache twirling pantomime villain by the end of it.
Mm.
And tie Rebecca to some train tracks, he would do.
Yeah, like literally, like even like the fact that he's like not to like give too much away from season 3 because we will get into it, but like he goes from wearing like obviously he just has like the all black suit at first to wearing like the long black trench coat by the end of it, and it's like like what's going on here, Rupert? It's almost like it's kind of like a nod and a wink to the viewer that it's like, oh yeah, there is no saving this guy. He's the literal devil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even at Rebecca's like dad's funeral, he can't help but stick the boot in. Like it's all about points going for him.
Even then, though, like as well, like if you look at like the kind of like the imagery of Rupert throughout the show, like the first time you see him, he's at that like the gala, isn't he? And he's got like a white blazer on and like a bow tie, and then as the show goes on, it's just all goes from him like sort of like wearing more and more just all black to the point where he's got like the whole trench coat look, and he's looks like an actual like, as I say, like a pantomime villain.
Also, I think
it's important that he's like got to be irredeemable.
Yeah. And he also receives like constant comeuppances for his actions as well, like all the way through it. Like he's near enough thwarted at every turn. Yeah. Because going into season 3, we find out that he's bought
West Ham
Sports. Like so this is Return of the Jedi levels of sort of like, oh, okay, it's all going to go off in this. I also think that Rupert's problems come from him, A, coming from money, B, no one ever having told him no, because he's rich, and that's given him like an overinflated self-worth and ego, like a lot of rich white men have.
Absolutely.
And I think you said it perfectly, is that we see him get comeuppance basically during all 3 seasons to some degree or another, whether it's, Sassy gets the last word and kind of humiliates him where he's standing in the church, or, Ted getting the best of him with the darts in season 1. I mean, there's moments all through the entire series, and I need that. I need him to not be bulletproof. Like, I know hopefully I've not bored our audience too much with the Walking Dead comparison, but like one of the reasons I tapped out on Walking Dead, there's just no hope. There's no hope. Like when the only story is, well, we're all doomed. It's not enough for me. I need the bad guy to lose eventually. Like, and at least Ted gives me that. Do you know what I mean? It gives me that
light
to some
at the
degree.
end of the tunnel. Yeah.
Yes.
Something to look for. Yeah.
Yes.
Because otherwise, it's just like,
yeah,
like watching German expressionist cinema. Yeah. It's just, what is happening?
Wash, rinse, repeat. Well, and we're pro wrestling guys. When the heel wins every week, every month, every year, we're all going, all right, great. Now what? What? Why do I even watch anymore? The good guy's never going to freaking win.
Hold on, Tom. They'd never do that in wrestling.
No, what am I, crazy?
They never have someone like winning everything all the time, and always the bad guy wins.
With cheating. Yeah. No, you can't win just by being good at wrestling. No,
I'll give you my best Yano and just go like that. All right, because that's me. So, kids, we had 12 episodes in season 2, and we'll run down them here real quick. We kicked off this season with poor Earl meeting his demise early at the hands of Danny Rojas.
We get so much good Danny Rojas in this season as well.
Of course, yeah. Goodbye Earl was episode 1. Lavender was season 2. My favorite moment of that, I keep going back to this, with the Lavender in the wash, was Nate going to Ted and saying, where do you hear this shit? I love that so much. He's so upset about the Lavender. It still cracks me up to this day. I can't help it. And then episode 3, Do the Rightest Thing.
I think also in Lavender, is that where Jamie's interviewed on that talk show?
Yes.
And he says something, he goes, I think he's already dead. And Jamie just goes, oh. Like, he's just like, he's so out of touch with the real world.
So out of touch. Episode 3, Do the Rightest Thing. We talked about Sam. That was his moment to shine, which was very cool.
Oh.
So with the Dubai Air angle, that was really nice. And then 4 was the Christmas episode, like we said, Carol of the Bells. Hey, kids, Tom Clark here, and did you know the very podcast you're listening to right now is available on BoinkStudios.com. BOINK, Boink Studios is the home of Tom Clark's Main Event, Tom Clark's 6M podcast, and Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. Visit the site today for links to every podcast platform, social media, special announcements, and a lot more. Check out the site and bookmark today, BoinkStudios.com. I'm a sucker for a good Christmas story, man. So like I'm a sucker for that one. And then
it is one of those. Carol of the Bells is one of those ones that you can just watch on its own and fully appreciate it. If you've never seen any of the rest of Ted Lasso, it is just a Christmas episode of a show, and
it's so good. Yeah,
I brought jollof rice. It's normally made with goat, and Higgins' face is just. So I put chicken in it. Oh, thank God.
Yes. Oh, it's so good. I'm so here for that episode. And then we get
Why did you bring a woman to the party? I'm French, and a beautiful woman makes anything better.
And Higgins' kids just staring a hole through the entire time. It was so good. So good.
And is it? It's Zorro's Nerf fighting.
Yes.
The speed.
Him and Danny doing like the.
Your beautiful identical twin sister is again. Yes. It's just these little character development because they're all essentially children. These football players. That's the thing.
Are.
Like, yeah. But it's just one of those great episodes of nice feel good television. That one.
And we can't forget episode 5, which was the rom-com episode called Rainbow. So good. Oh my God.
I still think that might be one of my favorite episodes. Full stop.
Yeah, me too.
So
me too.
Good. Oh, like, just for Roy walking off.
Yeah,
Roy.
Yeah, him walking off. All walking off the show.
Even like with, even with the on that episode with like Roy's kind of sort of like mentoring Isaac and realizing, actually I really kind of want to do this, and then obviously the end where like the whole way the song plays out is like timed perfectly to different, like to where like there's the bit where it goes slightly out of tune and it's Nate's reaction to Roy coming in. It's just so well done.
But the fact that Higgins sets that up with just an off the cuff line earlier on about Rainbow, again, it's just those things that they do of just setting him up and then knocking him out. It's so good.
So good. Number 6 is The Signal.
So is it when they're playing as well? And Ted's just stood there when they're playing in that like floodlit park thing. And Ted's, I'll just keep score then. he's just happy to be involved.
Number 6, The Signal. We all know what the signal is for Jamie. So letting him know when he needs to pounce. So that was a good episode for sure. And that leads to number 7, which is Headspace, which is Ted having his first 2 sessions ever with Dr. Sharon, which is something he desperately needed. And Headspace is also the beginning when we start to see maybe things aren't perfect with Roy and Keeley like we thought they were. Maybe something's going on here. And then keep in mind, kids, and Joe, keep in mind, we're seeing the de-evolution of Nate, the character here.
So this is the end. This end of this episode is where he bullies Will, in it, and Colin as well. Yeah, and that's when we were like, oh, hang on. Yeah.
And then episode 8, Man City, which has one of the most heart-wrenching moments in this show's history in the very end, because Jamie's dad comes in the locker room and Jamie goes, I can't even talk about it. Jamie goes to hug Roy, or Roy goes to hug Jamie, excuse me. What an amazing moment. What a great episode. Hard to watch, but like great at the same time. And then arguably The best episode I've seen.
End bit of episode 8 where Ted goes out and we find out that Ted's panic attacks are because his father committed suicide, and I'm like, and it just stops there, and I'm like, what? No.
Yeah. But we follow that up with Beard After Hours out of nowhere, which is so fun.
It's again just a bizarre Warriors style ripoff of Beard trying to get his trousers back and get home to Coney Island.
And to all you haters who don't like that episode, get over yourselves. It's a great episode. Okay,
we find out so much stuff about Beard, who is an enigma. Like all the way through it, we find out just these little glimpses of how he lives his day-to-day life.
Yep.
And,
so good.
And again, I'd imagine that's a normal night out for Beard as well. Just that kind of shit happens to him constantly.
We still have more questions than answers.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I think I said at the time, it's like the Hydra. For everything that's answered, 3 more questions spring forth.
It's true.
Yeah. I was just looking at my notes then for Beard After Hours, and it's just like, I've literally got more questions than answers on that.
Episode 10 is No Weddings in a Funeral. This is the death of Rebecca's dad and the team coming together, even though they can't wear trainers to the service, which is...
They all wore shoes.
Which is not making anybody happy.
I will burn these shoes.
These devil shoes, yeah. And it was a very Rick Astley heavy episode too, guys. So
I know, but again, we find out like why Rebecca's mum is the way she is, and which must have influenced Rebecca at some point, because Rebecca basically married her dad, essentially. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the one of the few episodes where I don't actively hate Sassy as well. Just
Sassy's
because she tears Rupert a new one in that, yeah. In a really good way as well. Like, he can't even respond to it. He's
got nothing.
Yeah. Because he's a bully. He's a bully and a coward.
Didn't he end it with, always nice to see you, Keely? Because he didn't know how to answer Sassy.
No, then she just goes, go away and die, Rupert. Yeah. But
that's again, good.
For any other show that has someone eulogizing to Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up would have seemed hammy and corny.
Yeah.
But this, it's like, fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that leads us to the last 2 episodes. Number 11, Midnight Train to Royston. We were introduced to Edwin Akufu, who seems nice enough. He's fine.
Oh, even the first time I met him, I'm like, there's a dark heart beating in there, though. What kind
Did
of
you
man?
know already?
No, but like, he never trust a man who can leave a helicopter just unattended for long periods of time.
He's got them all over London at this point.
The boys' bikes, mate. He's just dropping them off and.
Oh, those bloody bikes.
I thought there must be something weird about him, like, because never trust rich men.
The whole point of him, isn't he, that he's meant to be like a parody of like this like rich football owner who just decide they want a football club and come in. And obviously, like they've done a very different take of that, but it's very well done. And you can tell immediately, he's not going to be happy if Sam tells him no.
I genuinely think he was always gonna sideline Sam. I think that was his plan from he was going to get him and then just ruin his career anyway. I do think that was his plan all along, just because. It's just when we rewatched it and how quickly he turns, I think that was his plan all along. I'm maybe wrong.
I think it's more kind of like the way Rupert doesn't like people telling him no.
Yeah.
And that because he's obviously like, because he acts like he's kind of like scraped and clawed to get his wealth, but he didn't. His dad did. He just inherited it off his dad.
He just inherited it off, which is, I'm assuming, what Rupert did as well. Yeah.
Probably, yeah. And because of that, like when he's like so used to basically just like throwing money at problems and like getting what he wants, when someone actually goes, I don't really want to do that, he instantly kind of it's like he sees it as him being it's like he sees it as he's being slighted, even though it's more just money doesn't solve everything.
Yeah, well, we're not done with that guy by a long shot, as you kids will find out in season 3. And we get him again in the final episode of season 2, Inverting the Pyramid of Success, in which we see, Nate goes and kills the younglings, and he fully embraces the Emperor and the Empire and the dark side of the Force. So that's where we leave season 2. And with a mild frustration on the part of yours truly, as I continue to deal with Nate's actions. But I continue to hold out hope that my recollection of season 3 is not as solid as it should be. And then as we go deeper into season 3, I'll be like, all right, I'm with it. I'm still with it. But, for me, again, it was more like trying to reconcile 1 and 2. But again, if we're talking about the cast here, guys, Nate Muhammad deserves all the flowers because he is fantastic as Nate Shelley.
Again, it's just that thing from season 1 where he's this meek, mild, bullied, put upon man who loves his job, loves the team, and that's why he's there. Like, because Jamie and they're giving him grief constantly, all the way through it, and he's only there because he loves the team and wants them to do well. And as Ted sees what he has in him, sees the potential within this man, and then because Ted doesn't constantly heap praise upon him, which I understand because as we find out, Nate's dad is a dad. He's very similar to my dad. I know my dad loves me, but he doesn't ever tell me that. You know what I mean? It's that sort of thing. And he's looking for that father figure in Ted. And Ted at the start is very, oh, well done, Nate. Here you are. But he then realizes you grow into that role of being a coach. You don't. Ted's not always high-fiving Beard, is he? He's not always going, well done, Roy. Because, as I think they say, that's the job.
Yeah.
But Nate wants constant praise for things that are his job.
I guess with Nate as well, because he's, as you say, he went from being just the kit man, the sort of
mild-mannered janitor.
Yeah. He was in a thankless job. So when he was put into a different role where he was getting praise heaped upon him, and then that positive reinforcement stops, it's like he's kind of and then obviously when he steps in because Ted has the panic attack and he's getting all that stuff on Twitter as well. It's like he kind of he's craving that sort of attention. He's craving that sort of as we say, positive reinforcement, that praise, validation, yeah. And when he doesn't get it, very much like a young boy who was a pod racer in Mos Espa, and then 2 wise Jedi came and took him from that life and moved him into a different life, and then he turned on those as well. I had to get a Star Wars reference.
I was going to say, if we're going to do it,
might as well keep doing it. We never stop.
Tom brought up the younglings, and I was instantly thinking of how can I compare this? How can I compare this to Star Wars?
Yeah, I started. I mean, if nothing else, this show's missing Billy D. Williams. I mean, we need a Lando here. Have we identified who our Lando is, by the way? Is it Beard? I don't know.
I'd say Beard, yeah.
No, I'd say it's Higgins.
Interesting, is it?
He pops up and he's cool whenever he pops up.
Is he? He's literally playing John's face with a Van Dyke beard at one point.
Lando has a Van Dyke beard at one point, mate.
All right. Lando does have a dark, mysterious past. So does Beard. So maybe there's something to that. So, well, kids, there you have it. There is our season 2 rundown of Star Wars. Ted Lasso. So,
Ted Lasso.
Look, Ted Lando. Lovely. Perfect. So, yes, 12 episodes along with the 10 from season 1. We are 22 in, not counting reviews and the trailer and everything. We continue to chug along. If you followed the show religiously, you know there might be a break here and there. There's a break coming. So if you're watching this as it's released on a Saturday, then we're taking a little bit of time off before we hit you with the season 3 preview. And then we crank up with season 3. Be patient. We do very much appreciate it. We talked for an hour before we recorded this today about stuff we have going on outside of the podcast and about a bunch of other stuff we're not going to bore you with. But rest assured that we are making every plan that we can to get to season 3, and we will get there together. And while, again, I don't want the show to end, I'm anxious to dive in because there's lots of good stuff to talk about. So keep your eyes open for the season 3 preview. Thanks as always for watching. And as we always ask you to do all the time, please share this show. Give us your comments and your feedback. Check us out on boinkstudios.com. Check the ticker on the bottom. Follow us on all of our socials. And watch out for season 3 coming soon. But until then, for Jay and Joe, I'm Tom. See you next time, kids.